let's make a game plan as an industry for 2025. How do you think about that?
The physician fee schedule, when therapists talk about it, I'm trying to shift the way they think about it from the lens of how policymakers look at the physician fee schedule and the budget. Because as is natural for everybody, we get into our own silos. And it just seems to me, as I'm reading on LinkedIn and kind of looking at what the advocacy looks like, we're fighting for a conversion factor fix and an inflationary update, right? The conversion factor keeps being cut, which is expected because we're blowing out the budget. And by we, I mean everyone that bills the physician fee schedule. That's anybody in outpatient that bills, and we're talking Medicare here, but Medicare Part B, and this is happening with other payers too. There's a budget, they blow through it. In order to pay everybody, they have to cut the conversion factor. But that's not the only thing that's adjusted. So every year when they make the conversion factor change, they also look at every specialist, and that includes therapists. They look at all of their codes and they reallocate weights so it's conversion factor times the weight of the code used by that specialist. And that's why you can see a conversion factor cut, but say internal medicine and behavioral health gets a 3 to 4% raise because it's the combination of conversion factor and the weight of their codes. And so, physicians, specialists, specialty physicians, they're putting the hard work into addressing like an inflationary update, something comparable to inpatient settings. I think that there's other places we could be putting effort as therapists. Things like the value of the weight of our codes could be higher. And again, I know I've repeated this theme, but behavioral health providers have knocked it out of the ballpark here, right? Trying to demonstrate that our value as therapists, behavioral health providers, and physicians and APPs together manage patients longitudinally. And our value in this team and primary care is keeping people out of the hospital, keeping people home, reducing total cost of care, reducing high cost specialty care. We have not translated that as a profession. That's the missing link. We can't control the conversion factor issue. We can't control the inflationary index. And these are tens of billions of dollars to change to add an inflationary update. That money has to come from somewhere, and it's going to be a lot of hard work to find it. But what we do, like your locus of control, what we can control, and I'm repeating myself from prior episodes, but it's trying to look from the lens of how policymakers and regulators, how they're looking at spend and the value behind those dollars, who they're hearing from, right?
This is one of those interesting things where, and I forget what the research is called, but there's research behind this idea that the more experienced somebody is in a particular industry, the more likely they are to feel comfortable saying, I don't know. And I feel like you're displaying that right now because you probably take this stuff for granted. But talk to me like a second grader here, for example. Like, I think what you're alluding to is this idea that if we had the data to somehow tie the outpatient PT world's, efforts to some sort of better outcomes for people or for patients. Man, if you had the data to show that, which I think implicitly we could agree that it's probably there. What does that data look like?
If you'd like to learn more about Strata PT and see how our EMR and RCM works, head over to stratapt.com to book a demo.